salam. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Assalamualaikum. Waalaikumsalam.
Hello and welcome to a new edition of our program, Peace Be Upon You. And in this edition of the program, we have a variety of segments. But first, we'll go for a short break and we'll be back, so stay tuned. Welcome back, dear viewers, and in this segment of the program we are going to have this feature story about the hairdresser of the daughter of the Pharaoh who suffered a lot during his reign. We'll try to know more about her story in the coming feature.
Assalamualaikum. Waalaikumsalam.
The Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, on the night on which I was taken on the night journey, Al-Isra, a beautiful fragrance came to me. I said, "Oh, Jibril, what is this beautiful fragrance?" He said, "This is the fragrance of the hairdresser of Pharaoh's daughter and her children." I said, "What is their story?" He said, "While she was combing the hair of Pharaoh's daughter, one day the comb fell from her hand and she said, Bismillah, or in the name of Allah. The daughter of the Pharaoh said, "My father." She said, "No, my lord, and the Lord of your father is Allah." She said, "I will tell my father about that." She said, "Yes." So she told him, and he summoned her and said, "Oh, so and so, do you have a lord other than me?" She said, "Yes, my lord, and your lord is Allah." He ordered that a baqarah made of copper be heated up. Then he ordered that she and her children be thrown into it. She said, "I have a request to make of you." He said, "What is your request?" She said, "I would like my bones and my children's bones to be gathered in one cloth and buried." He said, "This will be done for you." He ordered that her children be thrown into it in front of her one by one until they came to the last one, who was an infant boy who was still being breastfed. It was as if she wavered because of him, but he said, "Oh mother, go ahead, for the punishment of this world is easier to bear than the punishment of the hereafter." So she went ahead.
Assalamualaikum. Waalaikumsalam.
Religious chanting is a very fine art and it is close to all of us. And now we are going to have this religious song.
Assalamualaikum. Waalaikumsalam.
My heart is so full of longing. I wish to be close to my beloved. I dream to walk in the streets of Medina and to quench the thirst of my spirit by visiting you, O Muhammad. As-salam. my troubles and worries as I entered your mosque so gently. And as I finally stood there before you, I couldn't stop my tears from falling in your presence, oh Muhammad. Assalamu alayka ya Rasul Allah. Assalamu alayka ya Habibi ya Nabi Allah. Assalamu alayka ya Rasul Allah. Assalamu alayka ya Habibi ya Nabi Allah ya Rasul Allah.
Assalamualaikum waalaikum salam.
Welcome back, dear viewers, and now we are going to have this interesting interview with our dear guest, Dr. Asma Ezzini, an academic researcher at Al-Azhar.
Assalamualaikum waalaikum salam.
The Pharaoh's wife, or Imra'at Fir'aun, she is an important figure in history in general. She was called Asiya bint Muzahim, and she also has an important role in the life of Prophet Moses. We'll try to know more about this with our dear guest for today, Dr. Asma Ezzini, an academic researcher at Al-Azhar. Good afternoon, Asma.
Good afternoon.
So, Dr. Asma, as we are still discussing the life of the Pharaoh's wife, Asiya bint Muzahim, we would like to know more about her life and to what extent she was so different from her husband, though they were living together in the same place and raising Prophet Moses together.
When it comes to speaking about the character, the very special character of Asiya bint Muzahim, or Imra'at Fir'aun, it is known as in Islamic history. It leads you to conclude that it is never the same when two persons are living in the same environment to be exactly the same. Not for sure that a husband and wife having the same manners, same way of treating people and things like this. And this is a very clear example, the example of Asiya, or the wife, and the husband Pharaoh. If we follow the line of the complete story of Moses, even before he was born, Pharaoh, when you know about the prophecy that there is a newborn baby is going to be a prophet and going to end his kingdom and call people to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what did he decide? He decided that cruelly all newly born baby boys are killed. On the contrary, the wife was wishing for a baby boy. She didn't have that baby boy. The love, this is normal in the heart of most women. They love to have babies and to bring them up and things like this. But she was a queen. She was not an ordinary woman like ordinary women living everywhere. She was a queen. She couldn't express this wish like every day and every night, but she was making dua inside herself that she might be given this boy. When the newly born baby came to the river, also they were different in their reactions. Pharaoh, as normally, he decided to take the baby, whatsoever, kill him. The wife, on the contrary, she pleaded her husband and asked him, please, for my sake, don't kill this newly born baby. We will take him to do what the man asked him. He might serve us being as a servant, or we might take him closer, treat him like a boy. Here comes the Allah's will to protect the newly born baby. In another situation, the two were so different. It came in history that Allah promised the mom of Moses before throwing him in the river Nile, by the way.
Yes.
We would like to shed light that the whole story of Moses took place here in Egypt. and he was saved here and brought up here and became a prophet here. You know that in the very famous location at the Sinai.
Dr. Asma, this story happened in Egypt, right?
Yes, the whole story of Moses started and ended, except for the very last part of the story, took place here in Egypt, and the river, the sea which is mentioned in the Quran,
Yes, it is the river
not a sea,
Nile.
it is the river Nile, yes, and the place where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed it to Moses, and he
Sinai.
went to talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was in Sinai. That's why the whole of Egypt is blessed, because it is the land of prophets,
Yes.
and witnessed the revelation of many heavenly messages. Yes.
Dr. Asma, tell us more about life at that time and what happened to believers.
What we know about this very hard time, that people suffered greatly under the cruel treatment of pharaohs. Before Moses was revealed as a prophet, and after that he was a very cruel man, treating everyone in a hard way, and people were longing for something to free them from this very hard. They were paying like very heavy taxes for everything. You pay taxes for having a chance to work, to live. There were different heavy taxes paid by everyone. What is came in the book, historical books about this time, and people themselves didn't. They wished that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved them from very hard life they were leading that at that time, and that's why they were
They were not
hoping for-
worshipping God at that time.
He was ordering them to worship himself. He ordered people to make him as a god. People knew for sure that it is impossible for a man to be created like us, to be our creator.
Yes, yes.
By nature, they believed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or they didn't know exactly what is the revelation, what is to worship Allah, but they were longing for this. They didn't know. You know that at the time of Moses, the previous prophets, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala it is very common that a prophet comes and calls people to worship Allah, but at the time it's between the two prophets, no one knowing about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was a time when pharaohs took like taking over the people and ordering them to worship him personally, and pretending to be their own god. People were longing for something to free them from very cruel, harsh treatment of pharaohs. At the same time, the wife was at the palace getting ready. She was also believing that there is an important incident will happen in their life. And the very important incident which took place was the newborn baby Moses coming to the palace and brought up there inside.
So can you tell us more about the story of the hairdresser of the daughter of the Pharaoh?
Yes, this is one of the stories of
Cruelty.
what happened, yes, to the believers, the follower of Moses. As it is very well known that Pharaoh was a very harsh, cruel man, killing people with no reason whatsoever happening and taking over their money. When Prophet Moses called people to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and become believers, all types of torment was on the believers. Killing, taking their homes, taking their money,
Burning
raping their
them.
wives, killing everyone, as in mentioned in the ayahs of the Quran. One of the people, the very close people to them, was the woman making hair of the daughter of Pharaoh, or Masitat ibnat Fir'aun. It is known in history as the hairdresser of
The daughter.
sometimes the hairdresser of the wife herself. Anyhow, we know that this woman was inside the palace. She believed in Moses and believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, followed Moses and believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And she had her share of torment of like hitting and harming her. He was a cruel man to the degree, Pharaoh was very cruel to her and his wife also, that he took her children. She's going to be killed. But he thought that there is something harder than this, not to kill her, to take the children and torture them in front of her eyes.
Burn them alive, right?
Took them alive, yes, to torture them in front of her. this is, if this proves something, prove that when a human becomes a believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our worldly things among them, our families and children, it is something so harsh. But when you have this strong aqidah or strong believing in Allah, and you know that you are going to return back to Allah, the torture and the hardships you face and hard treatment is not that something that turns you inside. The famous incident that Moses was told people that the Pharaoh told them that that I'm going to prove that the followers of Moses not following him truly. And this woman is going to ask her to leave him. She refused. He brought the children and tortured them in front of her to the degree that is described that he boiled like a very big amount of oil in front of the mom, and he was taking the children one by one to throw them inside this boiling, for the sake that the woman
Worship him.
say, I'm not following Moses, I'm following Pharaoh, I'm worshipping him. One of the miracles that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us about that happened, that the youngest among the children, he took like 4 of her children and threw them into the boiling oil, and she was stable, fast, stable, and not reverting, not leaving her believing in Allah. When it came to the youngest, she was like about to be moved and follow him, what he was saying, not to follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The miracle that the young baby spoke while being so young and told her, you are on the right, don't leave your religion. Anyhow, this dunya is too short. We are going to meet all of us in Allah's paradise. And the woman was stable again, and he took the babies and killed them, and she was also killed, and she is given as example to the believing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and facing this unbearable torture and treatment.
She's also one of the ladies.
Yes, a woman of the paradise.
Mentioned
yes,
in Quran.
She is, yes, not
on Quran.
clearly, but in the explanation of some ayahs of the Quran, Surah Al-Buruj, وهم على ما يفعلون بالمؤمنين شهود, not namely,
Yes,
but what happened.
referring.
Yes, referring to what was happening to all believers at that time. He was so harsh, given an example of the harshest treatment that you can imagine. You know, this situation when a mom is tested by her children is something unbearable. We are just speaking about it normally, but it is a harsh
of course,
situation.
it was so bad.
Yeah, so bad.
So also, if we talk about Prophet Moses at the time and how he was able to talk to God, or he was in Sinai when he tried to talk to God, and what happened. Can you tell us more about this story?
Yes. The revelation to Prophet Moses is one type, as you know, it is known in history that there are different ways of revelation. One type of revelation when the angel Gabriel came to our Prophet Muhammad and revealed the Quran. It is mentioned in history that different prophets had different ways of having this revelation from Allah. Some prophets, all the revelation like was a dream, not a real situation facing the angel. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored Moses by a very different revelation, a different way of talking directly to
Miracle,
Allah subhanahu wa
yes.
It is this is the way of giving him a miracle and honoring him in the history of all prophets. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the chance to listen to him directly. He asked for like a proof to help him believe in Allah. He asked that is it possible that I can see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It came in the Quran. قال ربي أرني أنظر إليك. Is it possible that I can see my creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala simply said in simple words, قال لن تراني. It is not possible for a human to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to have this tajalli over the mountain, that the mountain is to see. This very huge mountain in Sinai is going to endure the jalal and the power and the beauty and of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tajalli for the mountain. Moses, when saw what happened to the mountain, he himself didn't experience this before, and he lost conscious at this moment. He was able to talk directly without an angel. This is his own miracle.
Yes, also the life of Prophet Moses is full of lessons, like his journey with one of the wise men, Al-Khidr.
Yes.
So if you can give us a brief about the story.
Before we shed light on this story, let's complete a very important part about the story of the revelation, what happened to Moses, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed the land of Egypt everywhere for the sake of the very important incident that happened to Prophet Moses.
Yes.
What happened with Pharaohs and the Pharaoh and the believers. This land witnessed like miracles and miracles, revelation and miracles. Even the believer people were a miracle themselves.
Yes.
Can you imagine a woman enduring like the Asiyah and the Mashita, the two believing women, and different stories about how people, when they had this strong believing in Allah, they endured everything. As you asked about the important trips that Moses lived long. Like the life of different prophets before Islam, they lived a long life, and they had different incidents in their life. Moses was seeking knowledge. He was reading in the previous heavenly books and knowing about people with knowledge, and he knew that there is in a place, there is a man like which came in the Surah Al-Kahf, that he knew that there is a man having more knowledge than the prophets. And he took a trip, traveling everywhere, searching for this type of knowledge. Searching for him. And Allah gave him an evidence where you can find him, and he reached him. And he became like his own student. The wise man, it is said it is Khird, and the name is not finally decided, but it is one of the virgins that it was Khidr. Yes, yeah. The man told him that you are not able to learn from me because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me knowledge that you cannot endure at this stage of your life. Moses was still young at that time, and he said, oh, I'm going to follow you and learn from you. And the very famous story in the Surah Al-Kahf, when there were different situations, when Musa hesitated and asked before learning about the story.
The wisdom behind everything that
happened. After it happened, but Musa hesitated and was in a rush to learn the lesson of the story, and asking about the only condition that this wise man had on Moses before following him, being his own student, that never ask me about something before I tell you about it. And Musa hesitated in the different situations, and the whole story ends with this wise man telling Moses and teaching him that the whole knowledge, it is not human. We take our knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When He wills that we learn about a situation, we know about it.
Actually, we have many things to learn from the life of Prophet Moses since his birth until his journey with Al-Khidr. So we have many things to know about him. What is the most important thing that we can learn from his life?
For us as believing women, a very important part that came about with the wife who took care of him and was like exemplary model in comparison to the wife to the husband, Asiyah to Pharaoh or the Pharaoh, that when believing in Allah enters a pure heart, it makes you so different in all aspects of your life, your character, your treating of people. And Moses himself, the lesson that we can take from the life of Moses, the different stages of him as a prophet are not the same. When he started to learn from this wise man, when he encountered pharaohs as and people making magic this different situation. Musa was not the same. He was like little bit younger, not as after years. And another important lesson that sometimes we need this support from the people following us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us openly that most of the strength that Moses had came from the people around him, from Isaiah taking care of him and following him as a believer, from his brother when he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make him another prophet to support him. We need this. We never grown up alone. We never making our life alone. We need this support from the circles around us. This is one important lesson in the life, the whole stages of life of Prophet Moses.
Yes, finally, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Asma Izzini, an academic researcher at Al-Azhar. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
And by that, dear viewers, we come to the end of today's edition of our program. Peace be upon you. Thank you for watching.
Assalamualaikum waalaikumsalam.